Greetings, my friends. Thank you for joining me for your bedtime story time. And as always promised, I have some new stories that you probably have never heard before. So let's begin. Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you today? I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope it was a sunny day for you. And even rainy days are nice when you play inside. Um, but right now, our day is done and we're ready to settle into Lily White's party. I'm already getting ready, taking my deep breaths and trying hard not to yawn. Anyway, let's look forward to some of these stories. Sometimes my mommy brings me over to my friend's house to play. Sometimes she's gone a little while, and sometimes she's gone all day. But my mommy comes back, my mommy comes back, my mommy comes back to get me. My mommy comes back, she always comes back, she never would forget me. And we always do thumpkin, right? Because we're learning our manners and exercising our fingers at the same time. Um, so when our fingers greet each other, we say, "How are you?" "Fine, thank you." That's polite. And "How are you back?" And that's just how we talk to people. "Hi, how are you?" "Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for asking." Um, it just makes the world a nicer place. All right. Hands, fists in your lap. Where is Thumpkin? Where is Thumpkin? Here I am. Here I am. How are you today, sir? Very well, I thank you. Run away. Run away. I don't know why they run away after they've said hello. Usually you stay around and have a little conversation or play or have a snack together or something like that. Where is Pointer? Where is Pointer? Here I am. Here I am. How are you today, sir? Very well, I thank you. Run away. Run away. Our next finger I call Tall Lady. She's very regal. And ladies don't run, they stride with purpose. Where is Tall Lady? Where is Tall Lady? Here I am. Here I am. How are you today, ma'am? Very well, I thank you. Stride away. Stride away. Where is Ring Man? Where is Ring Man? Here I am. Here I am. How are you today, sir? Very well, I thank you. Run away. Run away. Where is Pinky? Where is Pinky? Here I am. Here I am. How are you today, dude? Very well, I thank you. Skip away. Skip away. Pinky's just a little guy. He can still skip. I'm shaking out my hands. All right, be the little bird. Be the baby bird. So hopefully you're all snuggled up and into your bed with your covers drawn up and just ready for a good bedtime story. Straganona, an old tale retold and illustrated by Tommy DePaula. A very famous book. You can find it right here in your library. Straganona. Prentice Hall is the publisher right here in New Jersey. Straganona. She's just Nonna means grandma, right? In Italian, nonna or nana. And here she is. Oh, all grandmas and nonnas are a little bit magical, don't you think? Yes. In a town in Calabria a long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Strega Nona, which meant grandma witch. Strega witch. Nona, grandma. Although all the people in town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had troubles. Even the priest and the sisters of the convent went because Strega Nona did have a magic touch. Do all grandmas have a magic touch? Maybe. Strega Nona could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. She made special potions for girls who wanted husbands. And she was very good at getting rid of warts. See, that guy has a wart on his nose, and now the wart is gone. But Strega Nona was getting old, and she needed someone to help her keep her little house and garden. So she put up a sign in the town square. No telephones in the old days. Big Anthony, who didn't pay attention, went to see her. "Anthony," said Strega Nona, "you must sweep the house and wash the dishes. You must weed the garden and pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her, and you must fetch the water. For this, I will give you 3 coins and a place to sleep and food to eat." "Oh, grazie," said Big Anthony. "The one thing you must never do," said Strega Nona, "is touch the pasta pot. It is very valuable, and I don't let anyone touch it." "Oh, see, yes," said Big Anthony. And so the days went by. Big Anthony did his work, and Strega Nona met with the people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. Big Anthony had a nice bed to sleep in next to the goat shed, and he had food to eat. One evening when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Strega Nona singing. Peeking in the window, he saw Strega Nona standing over the pasta pot. She sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot. Boil me up some pasta, nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up." And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled and was suddenly filled with steaming hot pasta. Then Strega Nona sang, "Enough, enough, pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day." "How wonderful," said Big Anthony. "That's a magic pot for sure." And Strega Nona called Big Anthony in for supper. But too bad for Big Anthony, because he didn't see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the magic pasta pot. And this is what happened. The next day, when Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch water, he told everyone about the pasta pot. And naturally, everyone laughed at him because it sounded so silly, a pot that cooked all by itself. "You'd better go and confess to the priest, Big Anthony," they said. Such a lie. And Big Anthony was angry, and that wasn't a very good thing to be. "I'll show them," he said to himself. "Someday I will get the pasta pot and make it cook, and then they'll be sorry." That day came sooner than even Big Anthony would have thought, because 2 days later, Strega Nona said to Big Anthony, "Anthony, I must go over the mountain to the next town to see my friend Strega Amelia." "Anthony, I need to sweep the house and weed the garden, feed the goat and milk her, and for your lunch there are some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, don't touch the pasta pot. Oh, yes, yes, Stregonona, said Big Anthony. But inside he was thinking, my chance has come. He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. He's going to get in trouble. As soon as Stregonona was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside, pulled the pasta pot off the shelf, and put it on the floor. Now let's see if I can remember the words, said Big Anthony. And Big Anthony sang, bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta, nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up. And sure enough, the pot bubbled and boiled and began to fill up with pasta. Aha, said Big Anthony. And he ran to the town square, jumped on the fountain, and shouted, everyone, get forks and plates and platters and bowls, pasta for all at Stregonona's house. Big Anthony has made the magic pasta pot work. Of course, everyone laughed, but ran home to get forks and plates and platters and bowls, and sure enough, when they got to Stregonona's, the pasta pot was so full it was beginning to overflow. Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out pasta and filled the plates and platters and bowls. There was more than enough for all the townspeople, including the priests and the sisters of the convent. And some people came back for 2 and 3 helpings, but the pot was never empty. When all had had their fill, Big Anthony sang, enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down, my pot of clay, until I'm hungry another day. But alas, he did not blow the 3 kisses. He went outside, and to the applause of the crowd, Big Anthony took a bow. He was so busy listening to compliments from everyone that he didn't notice the pasta pot was still bubbling and boiling until a sister from the convent said, "Oh, Big Anthony, look." And pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor of Stregonona's house and was coming out the door. Ooh. Big Anthony rushed in and shouted the magic words again, but the pot kept bubbling. He took the pot off the floor, but pasta kept on pouring from it. Big Anthony grabbed a cover and put it on the pot and sat on it. But the pasta raised the cover and Big Anthony as well and spilled on the floor of Stregonona's house. "Stop!" yelled Big Anthony. But the pasta did not stop, and if someone hadn't grabbed poor Big Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled the little house. Out of the window and through the doors came the pasta, and the pot kept right on bubbling. Woo! The townspeople began to worry. "Do something, Big Anthony," they shouted. Big Anthony sang the magic words again, but without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By this time, the pasta was on its way down the road, and all the people were running to keep ahead of it. Can you imagine being chased by spaghetti down your road? "We must protect our town from the pasta," shouted the mayor. "Get mattresses, tables, doors, anything to make a barricade. Do you see the pasta coming out of her little house in the background? They've piled up boulders and tables. Well, that didn't even work. The pot kept bubbling and the pasta kept coming. Big Anthony just stands there like, duh. We are lost, said the people, and the priest and the sisters of the convent began to pray. The pasta will cover our town, they cried. And it certainly would have had Strega Nona not come down the road home from her visit. She didn't have to look twice to know what had happened. She sang the magic song and blew the 3 kisses. And with a sputter, the pot stopped boiling and the pasta came to a halt. Oh, grazie, thank you, Strega Nona, the people cried. But then they turned on poor Big Anthony. String 'em up, the men of the town shouted. Now wait, said Strega Nona. The punishment must fit the crime. And she took a fork from a lady standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. All right, Anthony, you wanted pasta from my magic pasta pot, Strega Nona said, and I want to sleep in my little bed tonight. So start eating. And he did. Poor Big Anthony. Look at how big his belly is getting. Oh, and he's not feeling too good. Eating. And Strega Nona was able to sleep in her little bed. And there's Big Anthony, so full. The end. That is a very famous story. Come by and get more books about Strega Nona and Big Anthony. Or maybe we'll read them sometime at night. Okay, like that. Okay, where am I? We just started. This is the way we wash our face, wash our face, wash our face. This is the way we wash our face before we go to bed. This is the way we comb our hair, comb our hair, comb our hair. This is the way we comb our hair before we go to bed. This is the way we brush our teeth, brush our teeth, brush our teeth. This is the way we brush our teeth before we go to bed. This is the way we blow a kiss, blow a kiss, blow a kiss. This is the way we blow a kiss before we go to bed. So those kisses are magic. They stop the pasta pot and they send us on to a good night's sleep. Day is done, gone the sun, from the land, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely sleep, rest is nigh. Oh, that's such a gentle song. And as we always say, who watches us while we're sleeping? Twinkle. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Good night, Twinkle. Thanks for watching over us. Twinkle sleeps in the daytime when Big Daddy's sun comes out. Skidamarinka-dinky-dink, skidamarinky-doo. I love you. Skidamarinka-dinky-dink, skidamarinky-doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and underneath the moon. Oh, skidamarinka-dinky-dink, skidamarinky-doo. I love you, cha-cha-cha. Alrighty. So two pretty big books tonight, and then at the end I'll have a little poem for you. This is one of my favorite books by Ina R. Friedman, How My Parents Learned to Eat. Illustrated by Alan Say. I love this little book. And this is an older book. It was published in 1984. That was a long time ago. And the publisher is Houghton Mifflin. How My Parents Learned to Eat. One of my favorite stories in the world. So here's the girl who's telling the story. In our house, some days we eat with chopsticks, and some days we eat with knives and forks. For me, it's natural. Maybe that happens in your house too. I have chopsticks in my house, and I use them sometimes. Oops. When my mother met my father, she was a Japanese schoolgirl and he was an American sailor. His ship was stationed in Yokohama. Every day, my father, whose name is John, walked in the park with my mother, Aiko. They sat on a bench and talked, but my father was afraid to invite my mother to dinner. Isn't that sweet, how they met each other? If we go to a restaurant, he thought, I'll go hungry because I don't know how to eat with chopsticks. And if I go hungry, I'll act like a bear. Then Aiko won't like me. I'd better not ask her to dinner. My mother wondered why my father never invited her to dinner. Perhaps John is afraid I don't know how to eat with a knife and fork, and I'll look silly, she thought. Maybe it is best if he doesn't invite me to dinner. So they walked and talked and never ate a bowl of rice or a piece of bread together. One day, the captain of my father's ship said, John, in 3 weeks, the ship is leaving Japan. My father was sad. He wanted to marry my mother. How can I ask her to marry me, he thought. I don't even know if we like the same food. And if we don't, we'll go hungry. It's hard to be happy if you're hungry. I'll have to find out what food she likes, and I'll have to learn how to eat with chopsticks. So he went to a Japanese restaurant. Have you ever been to a Japanese restaurant? They have good food. Everyone sat on cushions around low tables. My father bowed to the waiter. Please teach me to eat with chopsticks. Of course, said the waiter, bowing. The waiter brought a bowl of rice and a plate of sukiyaki. Sukiyaki is made of small pieces of meat, vegetables, and tofu. It smelled good. My father wanted to gobble it up. The waiter placed 2 chopsticks between my father's fingers. Hold the bottom chopstick still. Move the top one to pick up the food, the waiter said. My father tried, but the meat slipped off his chopstick and fell on his lap. The waiter came back with a bowl of soup. How can I eat soup with chopsticks? My father thought. Drink, said the waiter. Drink from the bowl. Thank goodness, my father said. After the soup, my father felt better. He picked up the chopsticks. Finally, my father put 1 piece of meat in his mouth. Delicious. More soup, please, he said. After 3 bowls of soup, my father felt much better. Then he practiced some more with his chopsticks. Soon there was more sukiyaki in his belly than on the floor. But it was too late to call my mother. He had to run back to his ship. That night, my mother was sad. Every other day, my father had come to see her. That day, he did not come. He did not call on the telephone. Perhaps he was tired of walking and talking. Perhaps he was ashamed of her because she did not know how to eat with a knife and fork. Perhaps his ship had sailed away. All night she could not sleep, thinking about him. And all night my father sat on his bunk, pretending to pick up sukiyaki. He's practicing with pencils. And they're hanging on his wall. He put a little picture of Aiko. The next morning, my father called my mother. Please, will you eat dinner with me tonight? Yes, my mother shouted into the phone. First she was happy, then she was afraid. She took her school books and ran to the house of Great Uncle. Great Uncle had visited England. He had seen the British Museum. He had eaten dinners with Englishmen. My mother knocked at the door. Great Uncle opened it. Why are you so sad, child? He asked. Because I must learn to eat with a knife and fork by 7 o'clock tonight. Great Uncle nodded. Foreign ways are quite strange. Why do you want to eat with a knife and fork? My mother blushed. Is it the American sailor? Great Uncle asked. I see. Here, take this note to your teacher. At lunchtime, I will come and take you to a foreign restaurant, and by 7 o'clock tonight, you will eat with a knife and a fork. My mother picked up her school bag and bowed. No, Great Uncle stuck out his hand. In the West, you shake hands. The restaurant had red carpets and many lights. Great Uncle pulled out a chair for my mother. In the West, men help ladies into their chairs, he told her. My mother looked at the small fork and the large fork on the left. She looked at the knife, little spoon, and big spoon on the right. Her head grew dizzy. Different utensils for different foods, Great Uncle said. How strange to dirty so many things, said my mother. A chopstick is a chopstick. I can eat everything with 2 chopsticks. When the waiter brought the soup, Great Uncle pointed at the large spoon. Dip it slowly, bring it to your mouth, sip quietly. My mother's hand trembled. The soup spilled onto the white cloth. You'll learn, Great Uncle encouraged her. When my mother was finished with the soup, the waiter brought her a plate of mashed potatoes, roast beef, and peas. This is the way Westerners eat, Great Uncle said. With the knife and fork, they cut the meat. Then they hold the fork upside down in their left hand. Like birds, they build a nest of mashed potatoes. They put the peas in the nest with the knife, and then they slip the nest into their mouth. Try it. The mashed potatoes were not difficult, but the peas rolled all over the plate. Impossible, said my mother. I'll never learn by 7 o'clock tonight. You can learn anything, Great Uncle said. Try again. More mashed potatoes and peas, please, he said to the waiter. I'll bet you have trouble keeping peas on your fork. Don't we all? At 7 o'clock, my father came to get my mother. Why don't you wear your kimono? He asked. We are going to a Japanese restaurant. A Japanese restaurant? Don't you think I know how to eat Western food? My mother asked. Of course. Don't you think I know how to eat Japanese food? Of course. Then tonight we'll eat meat and potatoes, and tomorrow night we'll eat sukiyaki. Tomorrow night I will wear my kimono, my mother said. She started to bow, and then she stopped and put out her hand. My father shook it. Deal. My father ordered 2 plates of mashed potatoes, roast beef, and peas. He watched my mother cut the meat into pieces. He stared when she turned over her fork and made a bird's nest. He was amazed. You are very clever with a knife and fork, he said. Thank you, said my mother. You must teach me, my father said. That's a new way of eating peas. Teach you? Yes. Americans don't eat that way. He slid his fork under some peas and put them in his mouth. My mother stared at him. But great uncle taught me. He lived in England. He knows the ways of the West. My father began to laugh. He taught you to eat like an Englishman. Americans eat differently. Oh dear, my mother said. A chopstick is a chopstick. Everyone uses them in the same way. Yes, when we are married, we'll eat only with chopsticks. He took her hand. Married? If I marry you, I want to eat like an American. I'll teach you to eat with a knife and fork, and you teach me to use chopsticks. My mother shook my father's hand. My father bowed. Isn't this the sweetest story? That's why at our house, some days we eat with chopsticks and some days we eat with knives and forks. So look at this table. It's set with American food. There's a salad bowl and salad on a little plate and meat and vegetables and potato on the big plate. Cutting it with a knife and fork. There's the carton of milk. And there are like little condiments like ketchup and mustard and salt and pepper and butter. That's the Western meal. At the beginning of the book, if you notice, she's dressed in her little kimono and she's eating a Japanese meal. Rice, a bowl of rice with soy sauce on the side, a pot of tea, and looks like sukiyaki or sushi. The end. Isn't that a sweet story? Only sweet stories, only really good stories. So guess what? It's time for Lily White's party. Go hippity hop to bed. I'd rather stay up instead. When mother says must, there's nothing but just go hippity hop to bed. So we can row our boat to dreamland. Get a little rocking back and forth like you're on the boat. Little kind of sweet exercise before you go to sleep. You ready? Grab onto the oars. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream again. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. We're rowing off to dreamland now. But I have one more. I kind of enjoyed reading poems on those nights. So I've chosen a poem from this book. These are all written by Jack Prelutsky, and these are some of his best poems. And he's funny. There's plenty of books by Jack Prelutsky in the library. And the title is Be Glad Your Nose is on Your Face, and other poems. And it's illustrated by Brandon Dorman. A lot of nice illustrations. It's a heavy book. It's published by Green Willow Books. And here's the front pages. And these are all pictures that are found about some of those poems. The poem I'm going to read is called Early One Morning on Featherbed Lane. Trying to get the picture so it looks really good. Early one morning on Featherbed Lane, I saw a white horse with a strawberry mane. I jumped on his back just as fast as I could, and we galloped away to the green willow wood. We galloped all morning with never a stop, where mockingbirds whistle and ladybugs hop. We drank from a stream where the water runs free, and we slept in the shade of a green willow tree. Don't you just want to be on that horse riding bareback, jumping out your bedroom window into the beautiful sunrise? Oh boy, that's my type of morning. Well, I hope that poem puts you in the mood for sweet dreams. And always remember, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Nighty night, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. That's an old saying. We don't have bed bugs in the modern day. Um, but sleep well. I hope you have a good night and a great day tomorrow.